So here we are again. Jojo Siwa is making the rounds of the internet and has made a complete fool of themselves on the Big Brother house. And now we are introduced to some more drama involving Miley Cyrus, who has become involved with Jojo Siwa due to a homophobic joke, which of course, like any regular human, Jojo Siwa did not take too kindly to. Pride Month's been a wild one so far for Jojo Siwa, particularly also with the further backlash that she's been getting for her exploration of her sexual identity, and obviously the unnecessary hate for exploring that. Big Brother, the TV show that we all know and love. It's been around for quite a while, you might even recognize it. It's basically where a bunch of celebrities or normal people are just thrown into a house for a couple of weeks and basically forced to do little challenges, forced to sort of get along, and each week someone, or each night, someone is basically voted out of the house. Now you'd think that this might be a great time for Jojo Siwa to really show her true colours, come out of her shell a bit, perhaps even show some of that honesty, that rawness that everyone wants to see from Jojo Siwa, but no, Jojo Siwa decided to throw that all out of the window and cheat on their girlfriend. Or should I say, now ex-girlfriend, Kath Ebbs. Look, in my previous Jojo Siwa videos, I've been an adamant defender of pretty much almost everything Jojo Siwa has done. You can't deny the certain talent that she has for things. She's a great musician, she's a great dancer, she also has a knack for social media engagement, marketing, and obviously she's the face of a billion-dollar empire. She likes making catchy music that never leaves your head, especially after editing these videos. There are certain songs that are still ringing in my head to this day. She likes dancing and inspiring the youth, which, you know, is something that I feel like all celebrities, not the dancing part, but I feel like celebrities should aspire to inspire the generation that will come after them. I feel like the events that have transpired recently really do deserve extra scrutiny, because this is almost impossible to fly under the radar. In this video, not only will we be reacting to the events that have transpired, but we will also be taking a grand look at all of the responses and all of the discourse surrounding these events. As there have been several enlightening interviews surrounding this drama, there's literally so much content to dive into. I don't know if I'm gonna get Jojo Siwa fatigue from this. I don't know if you're gonna get Jojo Siwa fatigue, but please stick around till the end of the video so you can formulate your opinion and perhaps leave a comment below of what you think is going on. Let me know what you think. And please be sure to like, comment and subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for all the support that we've had on this channel. I know we've taken a bit of a break, but I've moved situation, as you might be able to see. Different house, different room, different setup. So hopefully everything is far more streamlined from here. Let me know what you guys think of the background specifically. Do you like it? Do you like it? Do you want me to change it? I might be putting up some posters and stuff. We'll see. The thing is, in the past videos that I've made about Jojo Siwa, I've literally almost come to like Jojo Siwa as a person. But honestly, I can't help but feel let down by all of this. Like, maybe perhaps some of her fans do, because this is quite upsetting to put myself in, let's say, Kath Ebbs' shoes and view this from her perspective. Imagine you're on live TV, or like you're watching your partner on live TV cheat on you in front of millions of people. That is absolutely mind-boggling. But obviously, on the other hand, to play devil's advocate, we're watching someone being thrown into the Big Brother house and we're looking at someone in their most rawest form. When you're in the Big Brother house, you're almost in a primal energy. It's just throwing a bunch of people in and like just seeing, like, you know, how do you get along? It's almost like Lord of the Flies. I remember having to watch Big Brother when I was little and thinking, oh no, I'd probably do quite well in that, you know, I'd probably keep a sane mind. But as you grow up, as you grow older, you realize, no, I would not last a second in that Big Brother house, especially if it's like over a month and you're being dragged along through all these different challenges and interactions made by a dodgy production team. It would be excruciatingly painful. But anyways, I bet you're wondering what the tea is on this Miley Cyrus comment. Why is Miley Cyrus shading Jojo Siwa? Well, let's take a look.
Oh my god. Enjoy coming out of the closet if It should be a year. It should be infinite. All right, I'm going back to get some more pretzels and find Jojo Siwa and bring you back out.
Wow, I did not know that it was during some concert visuals. That's probably like one of the most biggest ways you could quote unquote shade someone is just whack it in your show visuals, and especially from Miley Cyrus, which I know that Jojo Siwa was obviously heavily inspired by. All of this happening during Pride Month. We've also seen Billie Eilish be dragged into this sort of conversation, people questioning their sexuality, and we're seeing just because Billie Eilish is seen kissing a man that she's no longer queer, or we're seeing the same sort of things happening with Jojo Siwa being with Chris Hughes and people questioning her sexuality and saying that she's no longer queer, all happening during the month of Pride. There are a few articles that have come out, particularly one from Pink News that says that after being seen kissing Nat Wolff, a man, the phrase "Is Billie Eilish really LGBTQ+?" Pink News is acknowledging that Jojo Siwa has been receiving a similar backlash and homophobic treatment after her time in the Big Brother house, which is so visible, and you can see that all over the timeline. I've been seeing it, which is why I'm coming on here to make this video, is because I can't escape it. This and more is what we're going to be covering today, as it is a gigantic rabbit hole that has so many aspects and plots and twists and turns and caveats. Inevitably, Miley Cyrus's comment has led to a far larger conversation, which, although is centered around our favourite Jojo Siwa, is much bigger than the dancer herself. In a recent TikTok, we actually have Jojo Siwa's response to Miley Cyrus after her comments. Let's just go read this. "I was happy at my 5th birthday having a Miley themed party, and I'm still happy now at 22. I wasn't sure how I felt about things for a couple of days, but I've started to come to some thoughts. I don't believe what Miley said at World Pride was ill-intended. Honestly, I think it was meant to be a joke, but just not a very good one. Ha ha. Not what the world or myself needs to hear any day of the week." I messaged Miley lightheartedly about it, and she replied, "All love, always, heart, heart, heart." Honestly, the most beautiful thing I've learned in the last 5 years is that love is a gorgeous rainbow. Don't question yourself, don't second guess yourself, just love. Love, 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 love. Heart emoji. People judge no matter what, and it can be very hard, especially when it comes from someone you love. But if you feel happy and content with yourself, that's most important. You get one life, hold on to it, make it yours, find your happy, and one more time, love. Love, guys. Remember, love, 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 love. Okay, let's move on. So let's just delve into Jojo and Kath Ebbs' relationship before the Big Brother house. It was confirmed by Kath Ebbs on their TikTok that prior to Jojo Siwa attending Big Brother, both Kath and Jojo had a synonymous agreement between them that the couple were in fact monogamous. They had laid out the boundaries before Jojo Siwa's appearance on the Big Brother house, and they had agreed that they would actually remain loyal to each other. Both as a general rule and due to the absolutely carnal nature of the Big Brother house, which is notoriously known for having people behave in completely, well, unnatural ways, or maybe perhaps it is the most visceral and natural way people behave when you just throw them into a group of each other. But anyways, Kath and Jojo had been in a relationship for about 4 months prior to being in the Big Brother house, and they appeared to be very close and quite smitten with each other, to be honest.
That's what I do. Here we go. I'd say spread out, but there's no shot of that. All right, y'all are gonna step right together, left together, left together. We got that? Here we go. Right together, right together, left together, left together. Step, touch, step, touch.
Clearly their chemistry was something beautiful and they had something there, you know? They look quite happy in that video. They look like they're dancing, having fun, you know, smiling and all that good stuff. Which honestly, looking at those images there and watching that video, it just makes me more sad for Kath Ebbs, man. Again, imagine how distraught you would be to watch someone that you thought you had such a close bond with cheat on you on live TV. We've even got some words from Jojo herself depicting how much love she has for Kath Ebbs, which obviously just didn't age well.
First of all, I would say I have the most amazing, beautiful partner. They are an incredible human being who I don't know how I snagged them at all. Don't know. You know, say one day we have kids together. I want my kids to know my partner's family, and my partner wants their kids to know my family, you know what I mean? And so we're in a beautiful, beautiful place where they like America, I like Australia. We're down.
So you are in love.
Super. I called when I said goodbye to them at the airport to come here. I called my mom as soon as I left them, and I said, Mom, I'm really in love with them, because I've never said goodbye like that, where I mean, I've had my meltdowns. I'd struggle saying goodbye to things. But that goodbye, there was something about it that just felt special. Yeah.
Gosh. That is horrible. That is so horrible. Ah. Man. I feel bad for Kathy Ebbs there. To be honest, I actually feel bad for both of them. And it just seems a little crazy how head over heels Jojo Siwa was in those previous interviews before entering the Big Brother house and meeting Mr. Chris Hughes. It's funny how the mind works. It's funny how nature runs its course. Who knows? Who knows what the answers are? Okay, so about 4 months into the relationship between Kath and Jojo, Jojo Siwa enters into the Big Brother house. All goes seemingly well, or at least as well as you might imagine. You know, Jojo Siwa, being as charismatic as she is, pretty much immediately excels in making friends and building bonds and relationships with people within the household. And as we all know, particularly with Chris Hughes, who is an ex-Love Island superstar. But there's way more on that coming up later, of Chris Hughes' past on the island. There was, however, a few mishaps in the Big Brother house where Mickey Rourke, I don't know, I've never heard of him before, but they were all chilling out in the garden, and Mickey Rourke just so happened to turn into some kind of evil villain and get in Jojo Siwa's way with some harsh words. Apparently, Mickey Rourke is a former actor and professional boxer, so he might have a chip on his old shoulder. Perhaps something in his brain got swiveled around after those punches. You never know. But he decides to take up conversation with Jojo Siwa and unleash some very homophobic things that you're not supposed to say. This former actor and former professional boxer decides to disparage Jojo Siwa with some misogynistic and homophobic words and vernacular that even the Big Brother house called him out on, called him into the diary room and said, look, your language, it's not acceptable. You can't do that. But it's around about this moment in time where the Jojo Siwa and Chris Hughes escapade really begins. This is where it starts to get juicy. This is where their bond starts to form.
If I stay longer than 4 days, you won't be gay anymore.
I can guarantee I will still be gay and I will still be in a very happy relationship.
I'll tie you up. It's a lesbian I'm going to vote on.
No, you can't do that, Mickey.
You also can't say it.
You can't say that, Mickey.
I know, but I was talking about a cigarette.
I know you. I know. Yeah, I know.
That's absolutely unreal. You know, some people might say that you could try and put it down to the fact that he's from a different time or whatever, but clearly he was just trying to get Jojo Siwa worked up there. It's almost like he's that old grandpa or that like uncle that comes around for Christmas or something and just starts spewing some stuff just to get under like people's skin or just, you know what I mean? It kind of gives me that kind of vibes. And as we can see, Jojo Siwa was just clearly irritated by this, which, you know, any normal person would be, especially if they were being picked on in regards to their sexuality, which we'll find out later is actually something that Jojo Siwa was questioning the whole time. And she later admits this to another celebrity Big Brother house member. We've also got some comments here on TikTok, which the audience have left for us to uncover, which give us a bit more insight as to what the general consensus is from the populace. Mickey Rourke may be a witch because he was right. And of course, the homophobic comments were completely unnecessary. I just feel like maybe Mickey Rourke just sensed something that we didn't see, or maybe he saw stuff that we didn't see that was broadcasted. Maybe he had more reason for saying that than we could observe that was broadcasted, if that makes sense. We've got from Amy, which says, "This aged well." And we've also got Chris Hughes in this clip standing up for Jojo Siwa against Mickey's comments, which honestly I think is right. I think it's the right thing to do, because you can't say that. And you especially can't say that on national television. And you can't say that to a 22-year-old lady. That's just not right, is it? It's just bullying at that point, to be honest. And I think it's always a comfort to have someone stand up for you, especially in the way that Chris did, which might have contributed to Jojo's enamored view of him that comes later on. Almost like a knight in shining armor. I've come to help you, Jojo Siwa. Look, I'm Chris Hughes.
You can't say that, Mickey.
I know, but I was talking about a cigarette.
I know you. I know. Yeah, I know.
It's crazy to me that still exists.
Everyone keeps, oh, it's old-fashioned, blah, blah. You can't justify it because
Nope.
it's not right. You can't try and justify things which just aren't right. There's no point of sitting here and going, oh, it's like if it's someone's age. It's so like, that's not a thing anymore.
But what I felt when you were over there was like you had my back. And to be honest, we've known each other less than 24 hours. You have no reason to have my back.
You're right, though. That's not too bad, but come on. Wait. Getting upset, aren't you? Have a little cry. Crying is my favourite therapy in the world.
Well,
Come on.
well, then.
Ugly. It's a clean t-shirt as well. Now have a good cry, because that's you getting a bit of your anger and frustration out as well.
From these clips, Chris Hughes seems like a good guy on the surface, at least. You know, it's good of him to comfort someone like that. You know, it's probably the honourable thing to do. But more on Chris's personality later, though, as he may not be all that he presents on TV, because he is an actor that does TV stuff, and he was on Love Island, so he's got experience in how these live TV shows sort of work. But like I said, I feel like this moment was quite pivotal in the way that Jojo Siwa views Chris. Of course, you know, they barely known each other for 24 hours and already Chris swoops in just like the magical hero, the stereotypically attractive man that he is, and he's just like, look, I've got you, Jojo. I'm here for you. And I feel like this whole moment must have set in that kind of bond. I find it interesting this bond literally started from Chris acting as some kind of protector over Jojo Siwa, almost establishing some kind of control, like right from the get-go. Maybe I'm looking a bit too far into it. I have no idea. Let me know down below. What do you guys think? But seeing as to what Chris is like behind closed doors in regards to attention seeking, that kind of behavior would come as no surprise to me. Perhaps even seeking to use Jojo Siwa for clout. Maybe there is something to that, because Clearly, he's a smart businessman. Clearly, he knows how to present himself on live TV. Clearly, he's had experience in the same sort of field. Like, you gotta know how to market yourself and reach higher and higher rungs on the ladder. And I feel like it's kind of what Chris has done. And he's done it. He's put himself into the tabloids. He's put himself into the general consciousness, and we're all talking about him. However, Chris wasn't actually the only one who stood up for Jojo Siwa whilst all of this was going down. A little awkwardly to look back on now, however, Kathy Ebbs also decided to speak out against Mickey Rourke.
A lot of people want to know my thoughts on what Mickey Rourke, or however the fuck you say his last name, my thoughts on his comments towards my partner Jojo on Big Brother, and quite frankly, it is beyond disgusting, and it's taken me many hours to even process what the fuck I just watched. Not only because that is the literal love of my life and I want to protect her at all costs, and I feel so helpless that I can't be there to not only comfort her, but to also lose it. Weasel of a man. But secondly, take the fact out that I have a massive emotional stakes in his comments towards her. It is also just rooted in misogyny and violence. I don't know if anyone kind of put two and two together. I've obviously seen a lot of the comments calling out his homophobia, which, yes, but also his violent language. That clip that we saw, the 5-minute clip, which was the whole conversation, has so many layers to it. It is crazy. Firstly, he asks her if she's into boys or girls. She answers that she is gay. He then proceeds to tell her that he's going to turn her straight if he's in the house long enough. She shuts it down. Once she shuts it down, he says he's going to tie her up. That is joke. That's what that is. Call it what it is. Then further, obviously, she shuts that down. His next comment towards her is about the fact Big Brother is a nomination show. Each housemates vote for each other out. His next joke thing that he says in front of her is that he's going to vote the lesbian out. He repeats that twice. So his next point of call, when he essentially puts himself on her, says I'm going to turn you straight. I'm going to tie you up. She shuts him down over and over again. He then goes, actually, I'm going to get rid of you, which is rooted in misogyny. If men deem you they have no use for you. He deemed her in that moment and then went, okay, if the male gaze is not a part of this situation and I have no power over you sexually, which also, no offense, Mickey, you look like a foot, so you don't stand a chance with anyone anyway because you're a loser. Then he's like, oh, well, then I'm going to bully you. You're not going to play into my creepy jokes. Okay, then I'm going to bully you and say that I don't want you here. And then he proceeds to call her. Like, there are so many layers to that interaction. It makes me feel sick to my stomach. Like, it's rooted in misogyny. It's rooted in patriarchy. It's got a bit of like incel-ness to it. And yes, it is also crazily homophobic. There is a young lesbian woman in the house, and that's who he for, and that's who he wants to vote out. I do feel a little bit disappointed that that hasn't kind of been an added level to the conversation. Yes, I'm glad that the production gave him a formal warning and told him what he said was homophobic, but that is dangerous, dangerous language. And obviously it is a TV show with cameras everywhere and security. And obviously, we saw the beautiful Chris Hughes, which, thank you, Chris. Thank you for doing my job. I was very upset. And then when I saw him backing her, having her back and comforting her, it made me feel a little bit better, especially because this sounds up because he is a cis, straight, white man. And they're the kind of allies, unfortunately, I hate to say it, that we need in situations like this to stand up to violent, misogynistic, homophobic men. So obviously I do feel like she is safe because of the environment of a TV show, but I am a little bit disappointed that it wasn't further called out. And I would genuinely be so disappointed if the public doesn't vote Mickey out. I don't give a think he's entertaining. He's a pig. He's a pig. And he is a dangerous person. I would not want to be alone in a room with him, and I wouldn't want anyone to be alone in a room with him.
Got some comments here expressing a similar vibe to where I feel this is all going. Rodders says, love of my life, after seeing what she's doing with Chris. It's just kind of sad, isn't it? If I was you, I worry more about Chris and your girlfriend. Yes, I'd be way more worried about Chris. Definitely, she should have been keeping an eye on Chris as well. He kind of just took what he needed and went with it. Even though he knew Jojo Siwa was in a relationship with Kath, that's also worth mentioning actually. Of course, Jojo Siwa is in the wrong for emotionally cheating on Kath, but Chris should be analysed for this as well. He was fully in the know that Kath existed as Jojo's partner. Did he have no empathy or concern for this or something? I have no idea. I have no idea. And I quote, thank you for doing my job. Oh, it's just so painful. And then for them to be giving Chris such big props about this situation only to see what Chris would do in the future. In retrospect, it is just so excruciatingly painful and horrible to look back on. Another pretty pivotal moment in the Big Brother house, I feel, is when Jojo Siwa actually comes to terms with the fact that she believes that she is more queer rather than lesbian, which she in turn admits to one of her fellow house members.
This is gonna come out.
Yeah.
But we've already been, but it's made me feel so queer. And I've always been afraid of feeling queer.
Don't. This
But
is
like,
you.
like I've always said like lesbian, right? But I feel like so
This is you.
queer. You know what I
I'm
mean?
queer.
But that's like I've never kind of.
We're not living in a world that's designed for us, Jojo.
I'm switching letters.
You're a queer bitch.
The L. I'm going to the Q.
You are a Q, honey.
That's what I love about sexuality.
And you know what British people love more than anything is the Q.
The Q, baby.
We do like to queue. We do love to queue up for things. That's what we do over here in Britain. We queue up for things for sure. But nonetheless, I feel like this is good for Jojo, but I can't help but feel so bad for how Kath must have felt. And some people were wondering if Chris had anything to do with this awakening of Jojo's growing fluidity of sexuality. And you have to wonder if Kath was also sharing the same sentiment whilst watching their girlfriend express this conversation. After leaving the Big Brother house, Jojo Siwa appears on the Vile Files podcast, where she clears the air regarding her conversation with Danny, as she received some backlash for coming out as queer after identifying as lesbian for so long. In this podcast, she explains that she still is gay, just in a more fluid and free nature.
Not being a lesbian anymore. I mean, I understand the context, but like for the people,
What I said in the heat of the moment, did I say being a lesbian?
your comments about not being a lesbian anymore. I mean, I understand the context, but like for the people,
What I said in the heat of the moment, did I say being a lesbian? I
don't-
don't remember saying
that's
that.
not my understanding. My understanding is you didn't feel like
Yeah.
lesbian fully encompassed, you know, your sexuality.
Yeah.
And then it honestly seemed more based off the premise that at the time you were dating a non-binary person. So that kind of makes sense to say I'm queer, which is more
I
inclusive.
also was around
Like,
somebody
yeah.
who's super queer. And I was looking at Danny, and Danny and I had loads of conversations about, you know, being queer and gender identity. And it was beautiful. And I come out of the house to see that. And I see the lesbian community coming at me saying like, how dare you, whatever. First of all, let's clarify a couple of different things here. Sexuality is fluid. Gender identity are fluid. You can be one thing today and one thing tomorrow. People saying to me that I have never been a lesbian is crazy. I fell in love with a female at age 17. I have a very special place for her. Obviously, our relationship did not work out, but even right now, going through all this, she reached out to me today. So to say that I was never a lesbian is people are searching for something.
Yeah.
But also, why is it not okay to say that I feel more queer now when the whole thing in the LGBTQIA community is like sexuality is fluid? Like, God, when I came out as pansexual. Then I came out as lesbian. Then I was like, maybe I am pansexual. Then maybe I was like, nah, maybe I am a lesbian. Then I was like, maybe I'm bisexual. Then I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gay. Don't know what that means. And I was like, nah, maybe I'm a lesbian. And now I'm like, I'm just queer. I think I just am. I think I just exist. I think I'm done having my eyes be so one-sided. You know what I mean? And I think I can just exist. No one can decide my sexuality. Not even me. You know what I mean? I can't help what I feel. I can't help who I fall for. That's how I realized I was gay in the first place. I think I had to learn at such a young age, honestly, with my height. People bully me for being tall. And I learned at that point, I can control a lot of things. I can't control my height. Then I realized the same thing with my hairline. And then I realized the same thing with my voice. And then I realized the same thing with my body weight, everything down the line. And so I think now I'm at the point where it's like, oh my God, people are really going there. Like, you can't control that. Part of the realization of being queer was me in the house realizing I'm not entirely happy, and maybe that's a side of me that's not happy. You know what I mean? Maybe that's I'm putting myself somewhere, and the thing is, queer is a very umbrella term, and it kind of just encompasses the entire community, where you don't need to put yourself in a box within the community. You can just be. I don't need to be in a box. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I can have open eyes and an open heart and walk with one foot in front of the other.
Well said.
At the end of the day, I think this is a commendable speech from Jojo Siwa. It's her life and it's her sexuality. Becky says she needs to not have a label for herself and go with the flow for a while. She's still figuring herself out. Jojo Siwa coming out as queer and identifying as queer after being constricted over what to label herself is great. The homophobia from both straight people and even the LGBTQ plus community has been quite sad and, in my opinion, completely unwarranted. Just let people live their lives. Here we have from Turtle. I'm a lesbian and I absolutely do not care how she labels herself or if she uses a label at all, man. Shades replies, it's not about labels, it's her playing with people's feelings. And Turtle says, go watch the whole podcast. It wasn't just about how she moved with Chris. People were mad that she labeled herself as a lesbian when she could possibly have feelings for a guy. I'm sorry. Someone's label journey, if they choose to label, isn't up to us. My comment has nothing to do with how she moved, how she played with feelings. My comment was just on how she labels herself. And that's okay. I'm not necessarily defending her. I'm not a fan either. I'm defending the ability to have your own journey to label or not label yourself. It shouldn't be up to others, is all. I think Turtle puts it quite well here. Jojo's behavior of playing with Kath's feelings and cheating are, obviously awful. Jojo Siwa, she's come out with a new truth for herself, but I feel like the way that she executed it was extremely harmful and sort of demonstrating this in front of the whole world with her new romantic interest being Chris Hughes, just, within that Big Brother environment, whilst having Kath Ebbs at home supporting her, is almost damaging to the whole event. Jojo also spoke to Us Weekly in an interview where she addressed the situation. There has been a lot of discussion about your sexuality and describing yourself as queer on the show. How are you feeling about that now? Jojo responds, that was one of the conversations that I thought would never see the light of day, but I don't mind that it did, because I actually think it starts with a very beautiful conversation. I think queer joy is so special and so magical. One thing that's so beautiful about the LGBTQIA community is that it is so inclusive and so accepting, and it's also fluid. Sexuality is a spectrum. People saying that my sexuality has been fake is actually crazy and a discredit to my life that I've had since I fell in love with my first girl. I had a lot of conversations with Danny, and those conversations were about me feeling like I was being put in a box, and I didn't want to be in a box anymore. That was initially talking about gender identity, and it's something I don't have any initial thoughts beyond initial thoughts. I guess beyond curiosity and, where do I fit in? Queer is a beautiful umbrella term for the LGBTQIA community. I think that for me to be a woman and say I have a non-binary partner, but then also say I'm a lesbian is crazy. I've just realized within myself that the way my eyes are to the world, I just think I'm queer. It has nothing to do with anything besides that. It's nothing to be ashamed of. The world is going crazy with that one though. It flabbergasts me. Continuing down the timeline of events, obviously, as we all know, as time progressed through the infamous Big Brother house, Jojo and Chris Hughes began to get increasingly more affectionate and flirtier on live TV.
No one can convince me this is a normal friendship. Acting like that with a 10-year age gap is sus. Like, why are they always massaging each other? Hello, what is with the hand holding? Fidgeting with each other's hands, too. It's giving flirty vibes. Why is he leaning over her like that? I love Chris, but he gives a where's my hug guy vibes.
No, come back here. Come back. Can you see it? You be alright?
Jack will tell you straight or not. Only Ches is seen.
You see that? Oh.
Bill Joe says on TikTok, it's like watching a vegan eat steak for the first time. Sorry, but that was quite funny. And Rosie760 says, they just keep getting closer and closer. I feel like it didn't even start off as a subtle, friendly, flirtatious sort of cascade of events. It's like they literally just started acting like a couple just out of the blue. This isn't how, you know, just casual friends behave. Despite that, anyway, I feel like the main issue is the harm that Kath was receiving after all of this. Again, I can only imagine how hurtful and irritating this must have been to watch on TV. For Kath to watch their girlfriend cozy up with a guy in a jacuzzi that they just thought was innocently trying to help their girlfriend. Like, how is that just them being friendly? Later on, we'll see how both of them try to cover up their relationship, or at the very least lie and pretend that they've not been a couple in the Big Brother house for these past few weeks that we're looking at. Jojo Siwa was even so bold as to say that when they were nearing towards the end of the Big Brother show, that she'd do it all again and that she has no regrets. Oh my gosh.
No, we don't. It's good. You don't want to go back and change anything.
No, we've done it.
I wouldn't want to change anything.
Stupid.
I think no regrets. But I think I would just want to do it again. Like, I loved it.
You know, I think it's all great when someone has an enriching experience and has a time that develops them as a person, but when that comes at the detriment of someone else, it kind of negates quite a bit of that. And especially when it humiliates someone else's feelings as well, I think that's where it becomes all a bit too much. And we'll see how badly and arguably immaturely Jojo handles Kath's valid feelings later on.
Oh, hey, Jojo.
Did you sleep together in that bed?
No.
I'd be prepared for your girlfriend to throw some punches.
Oh, God, no. She doesn't care.
That is crazy that Jojo would assume that their partner would actually think that. Either way, it just shows how wrapped up Jojo Siwa was in Chris, both literally and emotionally. But oh gosh, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts inside. It hurts. Moving on to the next phase of the Big Brother chaos, at some point in the house, members were given letters which friends and family have written to them from home. As of course, in the Big Brother house, the house members, they have their phones completely confiscated. They can't go online. They can't read text. They can't look at the news, all of this kind of stuff. They're completely separated from the outside world.
God, I love that little sucker. I do. I do have beef to pick with them, though. They didn't even say in the note that they love me. I will not let them live that down. I will say, where was my hi, sweetheart? Where was my I love you? Where was my I miss you? Like, happy or keen to see you when I get out of here. Keen to see you as well, but come on, Mama. Give me a little something, something.
You know, after watching this, I can't help but maybe think, what if this was just one of the catalysts that just pushed Jojo Siwa just to go in a sort of like screw it mode and just continue to act in the way that she was acting with Chris and further develop their relationship after not receiving any type of like I love you from Kath in that letter. But who knows? It's no justification as to why Jojo Siwa did what she did. It's just a theory, a Jojo theory. Gosh, I'm sorry. Anyways, here are some comments from people regarding the letter that Kath sent Jojo, which I think summarize the situation pretty well. Jay says, it's because Kath is mad due to obviously having to watch their girlfriend disrespect them through disloyalty on national TV. Sarah Van Dorn says, yeah, that's about all Kath can say with what she has been watching. I feel bad for them both. Yeah, I think these comments pretty much summarize Kath's viewpoint. Obviously, after watching their girlfriend Jojo in the Big Brother house, disrespecting them through emotionally involving themselves with Chris, without them having any prior knowledge to such a stunt happening, Kath is understandably going to be lost for words at this point. What is Jojo actually expecting from them? The letters that the house members received were actually read out in front of audiences of Big Brother, so it's commendable that Kath Ebbs didn't go any further and called out Jojo Siwa publicly in that letter. At the end of the Big Brother event, it's custom to have a wrap-up party which friends and family can attend. At around this time, Jojo and Chris had a heartfelt moment in which some panic was expressed about having to leave each other and go back to their normal lives. It's so interesting how the Big Brother house is like some kind of summer camp for them.
I've been so happy. I told you I do horrible with goodbyes.
What were you saying goodbye to? Well, I know we're all leaving, but
Yeah.
are you gonna go home and you got a life, big life out there?
Yeah.
You know? I'll send you a present when you get home because as appreciation, because you're gonna have to give me your address though. You're such a sweetheart. Like I can't, like, honestly, if when people ask me about you, all I will tell them is like she is the sweetest, kindest, most genuine human being like you can come across. And
Don't make me more
but
sad
it's
right
true.
now.
No, but it's true. Like but that is you.
Love you.
No, honestly, I love you. You're one of my favorite people I've ever come across.
Genuinely,
Like
back at you.
literally, like.
And I never thought I would say that to a straight man.
You sure you're alright?
I've been better.
What's up? Tell me.
Give me 48 hours. Love you.
Love.
Appreciate you. You're a special one.
Danny leaning his head over to overhear the tea is quite funny. He was supportive of Jojo and her coming out as queer, but it's obvious he was also flabbergasted, just as the rest of us. And then returning home with new feelings for a new person who is a man when you initially thought you were lesbian. I believe this confusion Jojo was expressing was down to a few things. Obviously, her sexual identity, her feelings for Chris, the letter that Kath sent, and then sort of unraveling these feelings for a man that you never really thought could happen because initially you thought you were lesbian. How can you not feel like you're going crazy in that house? The give me 48 hours comment that surprised Danny was actually in relation to the show where it ends and then they can actually speak freely. That was the time frame. And you could definitely assume that there was some intimate and heavy conversations that were had after the constrictions of the house were lifted. Now we're leading on to the breakup at the Big Brother wrap-up party and Kath's upset response. And this probably leads us on to the saddest part of this whole mess. This breakup, the fact that it was so public just makes it a million times worse.
Jojo Siwa's heartbroken ex, Kath Ebbs, claims that it took Jojo Siwa less than an hour to follow through with their feelings for Chris Hughes. After Jojo and Chris formed an extremely close bond in the Big Brother house, with many wondering if it was romantic, Jojo Siwa's ex, Kath Ebbs, has now spoken out and said that Jojo dumped them at the after party because everything we saw go down with Chris and Jojo on the show was real, aka they do have feelings for each other. In a bombshell, almost 15-minute video in which Kath said they have been humiliated, Kath said that Jojo emotionally cheating on them and overstepping boundaries on national TV was real. In one of the most shocking lines of the video, Kath said that it took Jojo less than an hour to follow through with how she'd been feeling. They said, quote, "It took Jojo less than an hour to follow through." Kath then appeared to stop themselves mid-sentence as if to be like, that's all I'm saying on that. And Kath has not clarified further what they meant by Jojo following through. Did Kath just accuse Jojo of following through with her romantic feelings for Chris at the after party? Or are they referring to Jojo breaking up with them?
Interestingly, however, we have a point of contradictions which I feel tend to crop up during these kinds of messy interactions. They were dumped by Jojo at the wrap-up party, whilst Jojo on the Vile Files podcast explains that the breakup didn't quite go down as to how Kath claimed it did. Here we have a part of Kath's response.
I guess further humiliated in a weird way. That's more of a feeling. I don't know if it's fact, but I feel further humiliated. It's actually crazy. Went to the after party with my, I guess now ex, crazy thing to say, and was dumped in the party. I was told that there are confused feelings there.
I broke up with them at the rap party. That's not, they said I broke up with them at the rap party. That's not entirely the story. They had mentioned to production they did not want to come to the rap party. And I said, all good. I'm going to go to the rap party.
Were they invited?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. I mentioned to them, I said, look, I know you don't want to come to the after party, but I'm going to go. And then I'm going to go to my hotel. It's going to be 3 a.m. I'm going to go on my phone. So why don't you go to yours and then I'll go to mine and let's reconvene tomorrow morning. And that upset them, rightfully so. They wanted to be with me, but I knew I wasn't in a place for that. I'm already having all these crazy thoughts that I've been having in the house and I need to formulate them. I need to talk to my mom. I need to be alone. I need to look at my phone. I need to see what's going on. I need to realize, what am I feeling? What are these thoughts? I'm not in a place to talk. So I'm in a place to have a fun, cute opening conversation, but I'm not in a place to actually talk yet. And then about an hour into the rap party, at the time, my partner said, I want to come now. I've changed my mind. Like, what's the mood? I filmed a video of the party. I said, this is not really your scene, but if you would love to come, like, come. And so when they got to the party, they had these little, like, they were kind of like bananas for us. They were like little huts. And so we started to have a conversation and I was like, just come in here for 10 minutes. Let's just have a chat before we go over there. And that conversation started immediate and I was going to lead the talking, but then they kind of led the talking. And all I'm saying to every question they ask is, I don't know. 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 Are you this? I don't know. Are you that? I don't know. Is it this? I don't know.
It's one of those classic conversations.
Are you
where
happy
you're
in our relationship?
Yeah, or hey, I don't want to have this conversation right now. And then like, but I want to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
And then they start having the conversation no one wants to have in this moment.
And I was
then all of a sudden you're having it.
And then all of a sudden we're having it. And all of a sudden, you know, we're at the rap party for Big Brother. I'm getting cussed out. The security guard kept turning around to me being like, and I was like, you know what I mean? Like, cause I understand where they're angry and where they're coming at me, but I also keep reiterating, like, I'm not in a place to talk. I was just with 13 people down to 6, locked away for 20 days. I haven't spoken to anybody. I'm now in a room with 200 people. We're in this hut. It's outside. I haven't slept in 24 hours. I don't know.
Overstimulated. I need to be alone.
Like now I'm just like, it's just a whirlwind. Anyways, by the, 16th time somebody asks you, are you happy? Do you want to end things? You're going to just spew your guts. And I was honest. And I said, if you ask me tomorrow, I don't know my answer. If you ask me right now, my answer is yes. That obviously was taken as yes. And it was a yes and whatever. But then they didn't want to be alone. So I was like, all right, look, come to the hotel. We can continue talking.
Why did Kath show up and start pressing you for these answers following this experience? You're literally coming out of this mind and you were asking for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's quite clear that Jojo's remaining calm, sort of in a middle ground state, which is good. I just don't know if it's to save her own skin because she's genuinely telling her side of the story as to how she perceived it all, or to cut her some slack. I do think that the experience of her being on Big Brother must have been a truly bizarre one. As much as she liked it, as we saw earlier, it's no surprise that she just wanted to be alone for a bit just to process everything that just happened. Just let me know what you guys think. Did Jojo Siwa handle the breakup well or not? I don't know. We've got some people on TikTok here sharing different views on the story. We've got Carilli Johnston saying, as a parent of a 21-year-old girl, I'm actually on Jojo's side. Life is hard and confusing at that age. Her circumstances make it even more complicated. She will grow from this, and Kath will too. I said gone fishing. What a username. States, OMG babe, you owed them an explanation. They had just endured watching you for weeks. So awful, poor Kath. It's interesting because the amount of likes on both of these comments are pretty much the same. To examine it a little bit further from the person who all of this was essentially done to, let's hear more from them themselves.
I don't even know where to begin. I'm filming this in a complete state of shock, which I know is probably distressing and is probably giving go have a sleep. But I honestly feel so numbed out right now, and so disorientated that I feel like the only thing I have to do to place this situation is to finally address it after 2 weeks of sitting back, watching certain things unfold, and not being able to get any clarity from the person that it involved, who was what I thought one of the great loves of my life, and not of my own volition either, from what I was told over and over and again. But to just state facts and I guess to address this slowly, and finally, I guess, say something. It has come to my attention in the past 8 hours that everything we sort of saw unfold on what I thought was a fake reality show where I didn't need to worry about the validity of my relationship was in fact laced in a lot of truth, which has been so probably one of the most craziest, intense, awful, horrific experiences I've ever probably gone through in my adult life. To just give you my story, my comment. Yes, I was watching the same show as you all. I could not talk to my partner at the time, and it was very unsettling and very hurtful, and I did feel betrayed by the things that I saw conspire. I got offline because I couldn't talk to the person that involved, my partner, and I also, given all the context and facts that I had, by virtue of the relationship we had before they went into a social experiment, the messages I received before, the messages I received throughout. I don't know if anyone, as was mentioned on the show, I was receiving video messages every day in admiration of me and our love and our relationship, which indicated a sense of solidness, and trust that I chose to believe and get clarity around. And I honestly thought I would come on here right now with my partner being like, it was just a TV show and it was all fabricated and we're happy as Larry. But the truth of the matter is I decided to show up for my partner and hold up my end of the bargain of being in a partnership and being a teammate. And I flew across the world to support and be there and hold that person in whatever they would be experiencing, leaving such a wild experience. And instead, I was dumped at the after party with Chris in the next room. which is fucking crazy to say out loud. It's truly crazy. Like, there's a lot of processing that needs to happen, which maybe I should be doing before getting online. But honestly, I've been quiet on here for 2 weeks and I felt like I've sat in this. And I think now I'm at the point of, I guess, some level of clarity that I and I guess we, people viewing, weren't crazy to what they were seeing. And that a lot of the things that were depicted were rooted in truth. And I have become collateral in that truth. I will take accountability for the fact that the internet, oddly enough, did warn me and I had my own instincts, but I chose to believe in what I thought was, I don't know, the kindness and the connection I experienced on my own level, like in my own life. And I, wanted to honor that and believe that because it felt so true. So true.
Kath begins with saying that what they thought was going to be a fake reality TV show, social experiment where they didn't need to worry about the validity of their relationship was in fact laced with a lot of truth. As unfortunately the public displays of affection between Chris and Jojo were real and supposedly not a stunt for clout, at least on Jojo's side.
I guess, like, in an odd way, like, I don't know if you can, I haven't processed it enough to, if you'd want to call it love bombing or whatever, but it seems to me I have experienced a version of that, being told that I'm the love of someone's life, being asked to marry them before this social experiment, being adored throughout behind closed doors, being hurt by what I saw, but wanting to work through it and have a conversation and get clarity and, you know, to be met with, being, I guess, further humiliated in a weird way. That's more of a feeling. I don't know if it's fact, but I feel further humiliated in the fact that in that believing of someone's words and actions was actually left a bit high and dry.
Yeah, that is mad. That Jojo asked Kath to marry her right before Big Brother. Like, I don't know what's going on, but all I can say is that Jojo at this point in time just seems very messy and all over the place. As we've seen and as we've said before, it's fine to be young and experiment and figure out yourself and maybe, you know, explore who you are and individuate, let's say, but perhaps not on live TV at detriment to your partner.
So there was a lot of conversation around whether I was going to be in the audience or not. And that was another thing that she was upset about. She just like walked in. Yeah, it was really beautiful. Like we hugged, we kissed. I said to her at one point, we just like held each other for like ages. And I think I was crying. And then I did say at one point, are we good? Like this. And she was like, yeah. And then I was like, great. And then, yeah, we kissed. She was obviously like very spun out. She'd just been in this crazy thing. And like, I held her and I said, like, what do you need? She was like, nothing. Like, what's the gossip? And I said, you don't even want to know. And she started laughing. She's like, what? And I was like, no. Like, not like, I'll tell you later. But like, yeah. And they came back in. They're like, we got to take her. And I was like, damn. And then she was like, I'll be back. And then, yeah, I said, love you. She went out. She did the show. I hung out with the welfare team. Like, I didn't realize that information was being relayed. So she'd been told, Kath doesn't want to go to the after party. Kath doesn't want to meet Chris. Like, she'd been told all these things. I didn't know this. So she came back in. We had another like beautiful moment of like laughing. And she was again feeling very, like distressed in terms of like so much adrenaline. And so I was just kind of being like, what do you need? Like, you know, what can I do to help right now? And then the production came back in and they were like, we gotta go. So then I said to her, like, what do you want to do? She was like, I'm going to go to the after party, but you don't need to come. And I was like, well, yeah, I wasn't going to go. But like, honestly, like being here with you now,
I just want to be around you.
Yeah,
like I feel
yeah,
weird like leaving you. Like I'm like, oh, I want more. And she was very much like, well, I can meet you at the hotel. And I was like, okay, how long do you think you're gonna go to the party for, kind of thing? And she was like, this long. And I was like, kind of just like toing and froing. And then she said to me that like she wanted to talk to her mum and her friends when she got back to the hotel.
Mm.
And that's when I again was like, oh,
Something feels
funny. And I was like, okay, do you not want me to come? And she was like, oh, I don't mind. But like, you know, maybe I see you in the morning. Like maybe I'll go to the after party, be with everyone, go talk to my mom and my friends, get my phone, and then I'll see you in the morning. And I was like, whoa. I looked at her and I said, like, what do you want me to do? Be like so for real with me. And she said, I don't mind, but like if I could pick, I would say I'll go and I'll go to the hotel and I'll see you in the morning. And I was like, okay. So I get in an Uber and I wasn't like angry, but I think I definitely like, I wasn't like, love you, bye, mwah. Like I was just like got in the Uber, like very like frosty maybe a little bit. Okay, so I texted production and I said, hey, what's JoJo's vibe? I think I'm going to come. Like, I'm not going to be able to sleep anyway. So like, let me know, kind of thing. Then I got a reply back that was like, hey, it's JoJo, because she didn't have a phone. Hey, it's JoJo. This is the vibe. She sent me a video of the party. Yep. And in my head, I was like, okay, cool. She's being chill. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, what's your address? I'll come, whatever. So I was in the cab there. And so she sat down. I sat down and I just said, what's going on, babe? Like, what's wrong? And she started breaking up with me.
Oh my God.
I was literally sitting there just like so anxious, to be honest, like, and so devastated that this was happening. And I think I was just in shock. I was like processing, but I was also just like, what the fuck is happening? And she brought up things like the letter and the fact that I wasn't at the live show and how those things were like nails in the coffin for her. But there was one point where I did say, babe, there is literally a rumor online that you've been cheating on me on national television. Like, this is what's going on. Like, please, can you give this a beat? Her reasons for breaking up with me were kind of sitting at the surface before any of this other stuff happened.
Okay.
Some sort of like strange platonic thing that had gone too far, in my opinion, and something that was like crossing so many boundaries for me.
Yeah.
So what happened was I turned around to her because she was behind me, and I turned around to her and I said, actually, you know what? Fuck you. And then she was kind of like, what? And I was like, I have flown 24 hours to be here for you, and you couldn't even wait 2 seconds before dumping me. What the actual fuck? Like, you should be ashamed of yourself. And in that, she did, this went on for maybe like 2 minutes.
What makes this even more messy is JoJo's further responses to the breakup that she's been posting on social media.
Are you going to be part of the problem or part of the solution? I'm going to be the whole problem.
This video seems to me just like such a clear remark that she couldn't give a single care in the world over how she's perceived and how hurtful she was towards Kath during her time in the Big Brother house and then subsequently afterwards. I mean, JoJo's platform is so big. Even if Jojo Siwa was blocked by Kath or whatever, these videos would still make the rounds on social media and would maybe most likely find their way to Kath in the end. Jojo, knowing this, either has a malevolent undertone or even worse, just a pure careless element to it. And now, since then, there's been many displays of Jojo Siwa's and Chris's relationship that have been broadcasted all over both of their socials and on British TV. We've even got this next thing here, which I'm just going to surprise you guys with. Boom. Both of their faces on a coffee mug. That is just, you know what? I'll let you make of that what thy will. That's such an insult. Oh man. All of this happening, even stapling both of you on a mug and posting all those videos of you together, Jojo and Chris still deny any romance in their friendship for a while and yet still post countless clips of them flirting.
What's going on with you and Jojo? What would you wear for your wedding? A nice bit of blue to bring out the eyes from House of Gavani. Is it official? Jojo, are you and Jojo? God, what a question. One of our bonding moments was over Eminem, actually. So what I am now was definitely not my first rodeo. It's not a question. Your current relationship status.
on This Morning, which is a British TV show that airs in the morning, and all of these times they've made such a stark effort to deny anything other than a platonic relationship.
And I always say it from when people view this. If me and you were best mates, Ben, and we lived together for 3 weeks, we would have niggles and we would fall out in that time, because when you're in each other's space and you can't escape each other, it would be kind of uncharacteristic to not have issues and little feuds with people. But that's why we kind of had each other in there, and it was so lovely because it made you. It was a nice thing to have.
Yeah. I think one of the things as well, Jojo, is you've grown up being on TV shows. You understand it.
Yeah.
You're very open and honest.
Of course.
There's been so many different reports over this weekend.
So many.
What's the truth?
Honestly, when I went into the house, day 1 fun, day 2 fun. Well, day 2 actually wasn't that fun, but with you know who, with Sweet Voldemort. But then honestly, day 3, I was now in my own thoughts, away from everyone that I know, away from outside opinions, away from everything. And I sat with myself. And from that point on, I really realized things that I was okay with in my life that I should never have been okay with in the first.
Do you mean your relationship?
And just so many things. That is one of them, but so many things. And then I, obviously I wanted to hold them inside though, because I didn't want to air that out very publicly, but there were countless things that I was like, that's not, something that I should be okay with and I don't need to be okay with, and I'm not happy. And I knew as soon as I got out, I wanted to fix things in my life and make the changes that I needed to make, because I don't know, I think you have this experience that's so exhilarated. It's 20 days, but it feels like it's 4.5 years. And the first thing you want to do when you get out is just exactly what you need to do in your life to make it as good as you can. And I think I realized just how not great things were, that I was pretending they were great. And it's been hard, but it's been good. And I'm very happy with where I am now. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that I had you in there for support and for comfort, because even though you didn't know what was going on in my brain, you were still obviously are like support.
Yeah, here it seems like they've got a lot of media training combined between them both, and they're playing the media game very hard. Like Becca says, quite literally, they're playing the media so hard. And like, this can only be part of the phrase of any publicity is good publicity. I'm sure they're raking in the dividends that they need from this whole escapade. Anyways, after much denying, despite constantly posting content on their socials of their soulmate bond, Jojo and Chris finally admit the romantic status of their relationship.
I am in a lovely relationship with a very sweet boy named Christopher Hughes. And we met on Big Brother. Neither of us knew who each other was. We became really good friends, whatever. So about 2 nights ago, so we're deep into this at this point, we have the conversation about just like life and things, and all of a sudden the conversation of dream guest on my podcast comes up.
Well, there we have it from the mouth of Jojo Siwa herself. They are now in a loving relationship. Wonderful.
And can we just say, just because obviously we're all talking about it, congratulations on the relationship. We're all very excited. Have we decided whether it's Hughes? What are we gonna? What is it? What's the power couple name?
Yes. What is it going to be?
Power couple name, Chris?
Know.
They call it Kojo. That's the one they're all going for.
Okay, I like that one.
I like it.
That's the options that we all come up with.
Yeah, it works.
Repeat those. Let's not repeat those.
Well, it's good to see you smiling.
Off the tongue.
Pretty much all of Jojo Siwa's content is made up of Kojo content. It's all Kojo. It's Kojo era. So Chris has fallen under some criticism for the fact that Chris has a background on Love Island, his romantic background with the different types of women that he has been with in the past. People were saying that it's strange that he likes Jojo Siwa, and they say there's potential manipulation involved, and especially because of the age gap. But in my opinion, I just don't think it's fair just to compare different types of women or whatever, and pit people against each other because of their physical appearance. Olivia Atwood throws shade at both Jojo and Chris Hughes, saying that Jojo doesn't seem like Chris's type at all, and that Chris has once again gone for someone who is very famous, which I guess that is kind of true. Olivia does have a point that Chris has always gone for famous women to be in a relationship with. Jessie Nelson, singer and former Little Mix member, being another one of them.
But Chris Hughes' ex, Olivia Atwood, has just spoken out about what she really thinks of Chris and Jojo as a couple, and she might be throwing a little shade. So this creator made a video all about how Jojo Siwa and Chris Hughes seem to be together now, and she said she thought it was wild that Chris Hughes went from Olivia Atwood to Jojo Siwa, and she basically says in the video that she needs to know what Olivia's response is to all of it. So in true Olivia Atwood style, she gets in the comments and lets us know exactly what she thinks. Olivia commented, "She's really famous." Guys, is that a little shady? A lot of people saying, is she insinuating that Chris is just jumping on Jojo for the fame? I mean, this was an accusation that was also flying around the Big Brother house. But one thing's for sure, Jojo Siwa has been letting the world know that she is absolutely smitten with Chris. She's been sharing the week they just spent together, calling it the best week of her life. She shared his hand rubbing her knee and the big pile of presents that he got her for her birthday. And in true couple style, they've been walking around holding hands, so let me know what you think of them in the comments.
So here we have Olivia throwing shade at Chris and potentially pointing towards a very contrasting side to him that we haven't really seen before. Sort of almost trying to present that he's fame hungry and only wants to jump on Jojo Siwa because of her status.
Olivia Atwood has revealed it was her who warned Ella Ray Wise about ex-Chris Hughes as she finally breaks her silence. The TV and radio presenter who dated Chris after they met on Love Island in 2017 says she gave Towie's Ella the heads up about her ex when they both appeared on the ITVB reality show together. Olivia says she's been dragged into the CBB drama and insists there's two sides to every story. She said,
"My side, I told to Ella when I was on Towie. Just to give more context to the situation of like what she knows. Some people, very few people, go on reality TV and they're 100% themselves, the good, the bad, the ugly, and they are the same on or off camera. Other people, they go on reality TV, they are one person, and then when you experience them off camera, you literally, it's like shapeshifters.
The former Love Island star then cut the video saying she didn't want to get into trouble for some of her comments.
Someone commented here, though, that perhaps Olivia's constant disparagement towards Chris is potentially just a weird little obsession that she has with Chris still. And maybe because of how they ended, she feels like she's got maybe some unfinished business left with him. Lisa says, "I feel like the hate towards him says a lot about her and not him." Either way, there's potential that Olivia has a point, and that there's been some talk about whether or not Chris Hughes is actually using Jojo Siwa for extreme amounts of clout. People didn't really know who Chris Hughes was before he became involved with Jojo on Big Brother. I know I didn't. And I feel like he might have seen that as a potential gateway for him to slither back into the spotlight. There's also this matter of Chris and Jojo's age gap being 11 years. Having a drastic age gap difference obviously doesn't necessarily equate to manipulation going on from the much older person, but we all know that that is still potentially a possibility, especially if the person that you're leeching off is Jojo Siwa, who, as Olivia said, is indeed very famous and who we now know has $1 billion empire with her face. Now, nearing to the end of this video, it's been a theory that perhaps Jojo Siwa is using all of this to cover up a bunch of worse issues. People are speculating if Jojo Siwa's stunt on Big Brother was possibly orchestrated and encouraged by herself and her PR team as a drama facade to cover up for some of Jojo's most recent scandals, some of which being her extortionately priced tour tickets and meet and greet sort of add-ons being a lot of money, like £1,000, where they would actually pay to also be a part of the crew as well. Another scandal is her alleged mistreatment and workplace abuse over some of her employed dancers. In this Rolling Stone article, it says Jojo Siwa promised them pop stardom. They say they were in this Rolling Stone article, in this notorious Rolling Stone article, it says Jojo Siwa promised them pop stardom. They say they were thrown in the trash. with momager Jojo Siwa, the star put together a new girl group XOMG Pop, but after 4 members left, fans had questions about what really happened. And the behind the scenes of all that sounds quite dreadful, but it's still ongoing. I think there's some legal pursuits happening. And of course, we can't forget the latest bit of drama here. Jojo Siwa has been dropped from her label subsequently after showing her relationship with Chris Hughes. Here it says in the Daily Record, Jojo Siwa dropped by record label as Chris Hughes' romance steps up. Celebrity Big Brother star Jojo Siwa has reportedly been dropped by her record label Columbia Records and is said to be looking for a new place to call home. Speculation grew as she independently released her latest single, Bulletproof. Previously, she was a part of a star-studded roster of talent at the label, which includes the likes of Miley, Cyrus, and Halle. However, a recent check reveals that JoJo's name no longer appears on the official website artist list. This comes after her release of the single Karma and EP titled Guilty Pleasure with the label last year, reports The Mirror. JoJo has been dropped by Columbia Records. She self-released her latest song Bulletproof, whereas Karma was done with the label. She has been in London on the lookout for a new record company to sign with, playing gigs and hoping to impress the right people, a spokesperson shared with the Mail. Interesting. I wonder if this has anything to do with allegedly mistreating her employed dancers and other scandals that have been happening recently. And there we have it, an up-to-date timeline of the most recent Jojo Siwa and Kojo drama, all in the space of Pride Month, no less. I feel like in all of this, Jojo has some sides of her which seem incriminating, though there have been, unfortunately, a few points in this timeline where people haven't been so kind to her, where general public haven't been so kind to her, such as the homophobia about coming out as queer, and then also just trying to figure out her identity as a person. It seems like Kath is doing well, as it seems, and getting themselves out there again. We have Jojo being Jojo.
If you know what I mean, and you know what I need. Oh, the way you cut in my being, it's the value to me, do a thing. Got me feeling brand new, got me going full steam. No, oh, baby, I still know.
And Chris continues to be in his girlfriend stealing era.
Take a little walk, that punch in town, and go across the track.
But all in all, that seems about it for today's video. If you guys have enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you guys. If you are seeing this, please share it, because we're back. We're back making videos, and we're back in a new space, a new environment. Thank you guys if you have been sticking with me. Thank you guys if you are returning. Thank you to all the new people. And I will leave you. My name's been Murray Zani, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.